Welcome to the AWE Breakfast Show, featuring Sony Televisions. Here's your host, Sean Hannam.
Good morning and welcome to the AWE Breakfast Show. My name's Sean Hannam and I'm a freelance journalist, and I've been specialising in technology, retail and music, writing about that for more than 20 years. And I'm your host for this morning's AWE Breakfast Show session at EI Live Interactive. So as part of this virtual week-long event for the home tech sector, I'm talking to industry representatives from brands including Sony, Ring, URC, Epson, Denon, Marantz, Definitive Technology from Sound United, LG, and also, of course, AWE. We'll be holding an interactive Q&A session with our guests towards the end of this show. So there'll be the chance for you, the viewers or listeners, to send in your questions for the panel during the programme. So to do this, you have to maximise your computer screen, go to the viewers control panel on the webinar platform where you can submit the questions during the show, and then we'll discuss them with the panel towards the end of the session. Now, for this morning's half-an-hour session, delighted to say I'm joined by representatives from Sony's TV department and AWE. We'll be talking about some of the latest Sony TVs and finding out what makes them attractive for installers and their customers. We'll also look at 8K, highlight some of the benefits of the Android TV platform, and identify a few current trends in the TV market. So now I'd like to introduce my guests. Firstly, from Sony, we have Nick Roos, who is Head of Training and Brand Activation, and Ken Robinson, Area Business Manager, Sony CE Specialist, but he's got a large business card. We're also joined by AE's Technical Sales Manager, Tilak Rana. So, morning, guys.
Good morning.
How are we all doing?
Very well, thank you.
Beautiful day.
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Yeah.
You won the prize for the best backdrop this morning, I think. Just in case we were under any illusion who you worked for. I think you're spot on with the branding. Tilak, you're second in the branding backdrop prize, and Nick, I think you may have to get the Ken gets the booby prize, I think, sadly. Sorry, Ken, but cool. Okay, well, so let's ask where you're joining us from. Nick, you're at Sony HQ in Weybridge today, aren't you?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I just came in because ultimately I wanted to have the nice backdrop. So, I mean, I don't think most people will have a setup like this as a spare room for a video broadcast like this.
No, it looks cool. And can you tell us a little bit about how long you've been at Sony, Nick?
Yes, I actually have been with Sony for quite some time. It's coming up to, must be almost 15 years now, actually. Started off a long time ago in the imaging division. So starting off with cameras, then moved over to the laptops, and then moved over to Sony Europe to do their training for the laptops until about 2014. Then moved to the UK and did the TV business there. And from there, it became more than just TV training, but also taking care of all the other bits and pieces. And then gradually started working with AWE, doing bespoke sessions for their customer base. Because ultimately, of course, kind of this audience has very, very different needs compared to your regular customer that walks into a normal retail store. So focusing more on the technical side of things and kind of all the bits and pieces that make our TVs better suited for the custom install business. So right. Yeah, no, it's been a fantastic ride, and of course here we are.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about the features in a minute. Ken, how long have you been at Sony, and where are you joining us from this morning?
Well, I'm joining you from Carshalton Beaches, which is near Sutton in Surrey. And I'm a virtual newbie to Sony. I've only been here 12 years, unlike Nick. Right. And started with them doing EV, electronic vehicle and car audio products. Did that for about 2 years, then moved across to the brown goods on the independent specialist side. I managed the southern area of the UK. And that sort of specialist encompasses things like installation companies, which is where the association with AWE comes in at the moment. So, yeah.
Great. And Tilak, about yourself, how long have you been in the industry and with AWE?
I've been in the industry for probably about 10 years now. I've been with AWE for about 5, and it's been fantastic. I'm actually here at AWE HQ at the moment. It's brilliant.
It's great. You found your ideal job.
Yes,
right, now we're here to talk about, in case anyone didn't know, we're here to talk about TVs. There's a bit of a clue on the wall behind Tilak there. So let's go over to Nick first. So can you talk us through some of the highlights in the current Sony TV range and tell us why these models will appeal to the kind of integration market and also to consumers as well?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we've got a range of different TVs in basically every screen size that will fit any need for any customer. So be it a small screen size like a 43 or 49 inch, all the way up to massive 75, 85 inch screens and anything in between as well. Most of them also running the Android TV platform. I think most of the custom installers that have been working with Sony for a while now already know the benefits of that, and I'm sure we'll cover that a little bit later as well. But it integrates into all your home control systems, for example. It has all the services and all the apps that you need. But we have screens that will fit any budget as well. So if you're looking for a super high-end installation, we've got our 8K TVs. We have a range of OLED TVs. From small screen sizes, again, to big screen sizes. We have a range of full array premium LED LCD TVs and a range of standard LED TVs as well. So whatever type of TV you're looking for, we'll have it available. And the beauty is that they all run the same software. So it doesn't matter if you go for a entry-level one or a flagship one, they all perform in the same way. In terms of how you set them up, how you integrate them in your systems as well. Of course, picture quality, the higher up you go, the better it gets. So you go from a normal edge-lit TV up to a full array TV where you've got local dimming, better black levels, better contrast, better processors higher up as well. And if you go even higher up towards the OLED range, of course, you've got the pixel level control. So you've got that perfect black level, you've got better viewing angles. And at the top end, of course, 8K with a super high resolution, and all of them featuring upscaling as well. Because in the end, we know that not everyone is watching pristine content, not everyone is looking at 4K content or 8K content. So you need your TV to be able to upscale your standard def, your normal high definition content, your streaming content up to the best capabilities. And all of our TVs have this upscaler built in. Of course, hopefully you can see on this chart, the higher up you go, the more features you get. And of course, models like the XH95 on the LED side of things, the flagship 4K model. This has all the bells and whistles that you would need on an LED. And then the AG9 does all the bells and whistles on the OLED side of things. And then, of course, the ZH8 being our flagship 8K TV, which takes all of those elements, then increases the resolution up to an 8K resolution.
I know we're going to talk about some of the benefits of the Android TV platform in a minute, but can you tell us briefly some of the proprietary Sony tech that makes these kind of TVs stand out from the competition?
Yeah, definitely. So I believe from a picture quality point of view, I think it's definitely the upscaler technology that we have. Sony is in the unique position that we're not just selling TVs, but we also make the content. So content that you watch on streaming services, but also on live TV. We make the cameras that are being used in the broadcast industry. I'm using one right now. You can see one behind me. We do everything from content creation, hardware, the acquisition, the editing, the distribution, all the way down to the screen that you're watching or could be watching this on right now as well. And all of that knowledge is then baked into these processors. So whenever one of our TVs gets an input signal from any source, it looks at the individual content on that screen and then analyzes the different elements and then applies the right level of upscaling from a detail point of view, from a color point of view, to ensure you end up with a really nice, realistic looking image. And even if the content is a little bit lower resolution. So this example for here where we can see the input signal, we can recognize those elements and then compare that against this database of reference images that we have on the inside, using artificial intelligence to detect what's on the screen and then to upscale it to the best of its capabilities. It won't be able to perform pure magic, so your VHS tapes won't look like pristine 8K content, obviously, but it's
magic. Why can't you make
it won't, I'm afraid. But it will be able to take your normal 1080p Blu-rays, for example, and make them look like 4K content. If you put that side by side, it's very, very difficult to tell the difference. Or take your 4K content.
You picked up quite a few awards for these TVs as well, haven't you? You won a Hi-Fi award recently for one of your flagship TVs.
Yes, yeah. So we've won quite a lot of 5-star Wi-Fi awards for most of our products, and also Product of the Year as well, which is absolutely fantastic. So from an OLED point of view, again, we've got Product of the Year there, which is really, really good. We've got really one of the best TVs with the A8 5-star, but on the A9, the 48-inch version, that's Product of the Year. It's basically, they said it's the best 48 or 49-inch screen that you can buy. So if you're looking for a smaller screen with the best possible picture quality and all the benefits of Android that we'll cover later, I think the A9 is definitely the one to go for. And again, it's in our Master Series as well, so it is a flagship television after all.
Let's talk about Android TV now. It seems a good chance to mention it. So what are the advantages of the Android TV platform over a kind of proprietary system?
So Android TV, of course, it's made by Google. I think everyone knows Google. So it's a massive software development company that keeps on improving and adding features. So we started off few years ago and we started adding more and more features. So Android TV as a whole, it has everything that you would want from a smart platform. So it has all the apps that you would want already out of the box. So we have all the catch-up services, for example, built in, and not just the kind of UK catch-up services, but also streaming services. Of course, Netflix, YouTube, but also things like BT Sport, Now TV, Disney Plus. It's all there. So whatever content you want, you can already get it from the software on the TV. But if whatever you're looking for isn't directly already pre-installed, you can then go into the App Store and then get whatever app you want as well. So we have over 5,000 apps. So that's the official line. In practice, we're looking at close to 10,000 apps already. Compared to any other platform on the market, it's a massive difference. You're looking at between 50 to 100 on most other manufacturers versus close to 10,000 for a Sony. So whatever you want, chances are it's going to be available. And on top of that, we also have Chromecast built in, which supports 4K, and we have AirPlay built in as well. So it doesn't matter if you use an iPhone or if you use an Android device, you can get your content from your mobile devices straight onto the screen within the best possible picture quality.
10,000
so that's, of course,
should get us through lockdown, shouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, whatever content you want to watch,
Friday.
you can get it on the screen.
Yeah, and you've got more apps and updates on the way, haven't you? I know there's stuff planned further down the line. Can you tell us anything about what's coming up?
Yeah, so of course, I mean, we already have more apps than any other system on the market, but there was one that was kind of missing from our platform, which is Apple TV, and that will be coming to all of our TVs as well, or all the Android TVs. So again, making sure that we've got the latest and greatest. And because it's Android, we can update our TVs to add those services as well. Unlike some other platforms out there where basically it is what it is, and then once an app becomes available, you can't really add it on top. With Android TV, you have the option to update the software and then add more and more as we go along. And the more services are being added, especially, of course, now that streaming is the way forward. I would imagine in the future, more and more services are going to be created, and those then will be available to add to Android TV. And if it's not possible to add it to the software, if they don't have an app, at least you can Chromecast it or AirPlay it to your TV. So there's always a way to get your content on the big screen.
You touched on 8K earlier. Let's talk about that now. So as we all know, there's still very little 8K content or native 8K content out there. When can we expect to see more? And do you think the lack of native 8K content is putting people off buying 8K models, or are they kind of future-proofing themselves by investing in the latest tech?
Yeah, it's definitely a future-proof technology. I think everyone, of course, was waiting for 2020 with the Olympics to be the first real big 8K showcase. Of course, with the current situation, that was completely destroyed. But luckily, if you're in the UK today, if you did a pre-order for your PlayStation 5, that will be delivered, and that supports 8K gaming, for example. And there will be more 8K broadcasts coming as well. So there've already been quite a lot of testing with the BBC and NHK. So native 8K is coming, and it's already there to a certain degree. But don't forget, of course, the upscaling side of things as well. So if you watch your normal 4K content, so if you watch a football match in 4K, for example, our 8K TVs can upscale that. And if you take let's say 75-inch or 85-inch 4K TV and an 8K TV, put them side by side with the same content, the 8K TV with its upscaling will make it look better. And especially the minute you go towards these bigger screen sizes, that difference in resolution becomes really, really obvious.
I think that's a really important
example here with the gaming side of things. I mean, this is, of course, from a Sony point of view, is incredibly important as well, because ultimately we make the TVs, but we also make the PlayStation. And again, of course, that will be a big driving force behind this as well.
Yeah, I think there's a big gaming thing happening this week, isn't there?
Yes, yeah. My pre-order is coming in today as well, which is absolutely fantastic.
Okay, mine's here, but I shouldn't really tell anyone that. So one of the things that's really important for the home integration market is the ability of TVs to connect to third-party control systems. And I guess, can you tell us a little bit about how Sony's TVs can interact with other control systems that are on the market?
Yeah. So I believe from a Sony's point of view, we try to make it as easy as possible. So we support basically all IP control systems that you want to use. I'm sure Tele can cover some of their specific versions as well. But all the Android TVs have full support for basically whatever is your preferred control system. And even the non-Android versions have some basic IP control functionality as well. And it's not just the TVs, it's the AVRs, it's the Blu-ray players. It's basically all network devices that we do in the home entertainment side of things support some form of control. But with Android TV, doesn't matter if you go for an entry level or a flagship, they all fit in to do your system the way you want it to do. Be it very, very basic, just switching it on and off and having then everything coming through an HDMI distribution. Or if you want something a little bit more advanced where it ties into full-on scene control or nice little systems. You walk into the house, motion sensor turns on the TV, plays a welcome message, and the lights dim automatically. Whatever you want to do, it's going to be possible with an Android TV.
Do you think more people are getting used to having the smart TV as part of their kind of home ecosystem? In the past, I mean, when smart TVs first launched, people were kind of used to streaming or accessing apps on it, more basic functionality, but now it's part of an ecosystem. Is that a growing trend that you're seeing, people making it interact with their lighting and their speakers, etc.?
I think so. I mean, of course,
comment on that, or maybe as well.
Yeah, I think more and more people have more smart devices. I think obviously because they're becoming a bit more affordable, makes it also more accessible for more people in the market. And it doesn't always have to be over the top with shutters and like have a full home automation. For some people, just having the lights and door locks, for example, or smart plugs is that as an entry point is where they are. And with Google Assistant built into our televisions, that makes it super easy to start off with a very basic setup and then gradually transition into a more advanced system where you can control it all from tablets on the wall with motion sensors or whatever system you want to design. It's all possible with Android TV, from basic consumer stuff all the way to high-end installations.
Yeah, I think at the moment, important things we should. Oh, go on. Sorry. Yeah. I was going to say, I think the most important thing that people are kind of thinking about at the moment is convenience. So that they just want their everyday lives to be a lot easier, which is where these control systems come in. You walk in, you push a button, your favorite thing's already playing on the TV, or you've got music playing in the kitchen, etc. That's all it's about, just convenience.
Right. Going to bring you in now, Ken. One of the important things for retailers and for consumers, obviously, and integrators is the after-sales support side. So can you sort of tell us a little bit about the support that Sony provides, things like warranties that are really important for the consumer and the dealer?
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly from sort of our XH81 TVs upwards, all of our TVs are covered with a 5-year warranty. And the beauty of our 5-year warranty is that when it leaves our warehouses, we automatically activate it, and it goes into our retailers and the likes of AWE. When it goes into the consumer's house, obviously there's a bill attached to that, and we will honour that. So if it's, say, been in 3 months in the warehouse, it will actually extend it by three months if there need to be a claim. But it means that the retailer, the distributor don't need to do anything. The consumer doesn't actually need to do anything to activate it. There's no forms to fill in and send off. The actual warranty is with the TV. If the TV were to go to a son, daughter, or to go on to another person, because the warranty is with the TV, it's still covered. And it's very easy just to identify that if you should require any assistance by contacting, our system, our service system, and they'll pick it up from there. So it's actually working really well, and I think it's quite hassle-free for people that are installing TVs, right. and that's a real bonus for us.
One of the other things we should touch on is training, really, and support through Sony, but also AWE. Tila, I'm going to ask you to comment on this, really. So what kind of training is available for guys who, customers who want to sell and install these Sony TVs via AWE?
Well, training and support is really important for both us and Sony. And the thing is as well that Nick's and Ken are pretty great with organising this as well. So we actually have dedicated launch events and training, whether it's online or at our headquarters or at Sony Weybridge as well. It's the relationship that we've got with Sony is more of a partnership. So we get the same level of support as retailers do. So it's not really people having an account with AWE or having a relationship with AWE. They've also got that same relationship with Sony as well, which I think is quite important. So yeah, it makes things a lot easier. Training events and support is fantastic all the time.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about the products. I'd like to kind of widen things out a bit, maybe talk a bit about some of the kind of trends in TV. We talked a lot about picture quality as well. Nick, can you tell us a little bit about the audio side of the TV market at the moment? Because that's been a kind of sometimes gets forgotten about when everyone talks about picture quality, doesn't it?
Yeah, I believe whenever someone is considering a TV, the first thing foremost is always going to be picture quality, because that's why they buy a screen. But also the trend of TVs is that they're getting slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. So sound quality as a whole has suffered quite a lot. Of course, we try to improve it as much as we can. So on our LED TV models, we have more speakers now, just along the bottom, but also along the top and the sides of the TVs. But for OLED TVs, we do something quite special, which is something that nobody else does. We call that acoustic surface. That's where we use actuators to vibrate the full screen of the OLED panel to generate sound, which means that you've got much, much better sound coming directly from the TV. And on our high-end models, we also have the center channel mode, where the TV itself can actually be integrated into a home entertainment setup. So you just take the speaker wire from whatever AVR you might be using, plug it into the television, and it just accepts the speaker input signal. So it's all being driven by your amplifier. Of course, that means that you don't need that additional center speaker somewhere along the bottom of the screen or above the screen, which means that, of course, then the sound is whenever someone is talking on in a video, for example, you can see them, but you can hear them from exactly the same spot. So it's much more immersive. It's very similar to the setup that you would have either in a cinema, or if you use a projector with a screen, with an acoustically transparent screen with a speaker behind it. It's very difficult to do that with a TV, but with our OLED screens on the high end side of things, you can actually do that, which is quite a fantastic setup.
Okay.
I think obviously that's actually exactly what Telek has behind him right now. So it's a really cool setup to have.
Good choice.
That's how it's set up as well. So this is the TV of the center channel.
Yeah, coincidence that's on the wall. Anyone would think we planned it like that, wouldn't they? I mean, it's been an extraordinary year for everyone. Let's talk a bit about the kind of how COVID has affected the kind of TV market. What effect have you seen? Maybe Ken, can you talk a bit about what effect it's had on business and maybe on retail?
Yes, certainly. So coming into lockdown, I mean, obviously March when it sort of started, I don't think anybody had anticipated the impact of it and the length of time that it would take. Certainly as far as we as a company are concerned, and as an industry, we have targets where we're expecting to achieve a certain level of business. So that was depleted, although I have to say that from our point of view, it was actually a lot better than we'd anticipated it would be. It gradually started to creep back up a little bit, and also we found that there was a much higher incidence, and people started to develop their online activities, and certainly from my area, which is the independents, it became much more prevalent, and people got their act together, very quickly. So the impact of that wasn't quite so bad. Having said that, coming out of lockdown, sort of mid-June, the business just went mad. We'd already built up a buffer of TVs that we'd expected to be able to deliver into the market. We did that and some. And it's carried on going. I mean, it hasn't plateaued. The growth in the business has been phenomenal, and we're finding ourselves now in a position where we've actually achieved the kind of levels of business that we were expected to this date. So we've caught up and even exceeded those sort of targets. So it's going very well. And the biggest problem we've currently got really is actually managing to supply the demand. And I think that's probably down to the fact that the consumers are locked down. They are seeing that there's a benefit to having TV. That applies to whether it be retailers or certainly from your point of view, from installers. I think people have started to see the importance of having good home entertainment. And, for that reason, our industry is probably benefiting for it at the moment, which is a great thing. There's so many other people struggling in other industries.
Nick, I want to sort of look ahead a bit. I know you guys can't always tell us what's on the roadmap, but it's top secret. You'd have to kill me if I found out. But where do you see the kind of TV market heading in the future? We've talked obviously a lot about technology, 8K today, also about how people are investing in their homes. What's kind of on the horizon? Is it a bright future, if you pardon the pun, for the TV market?
Well, I think as a whole, I mean, the trend is bigger screens. I mean, of course, kind of depending on whatever like space limitation people might have, but overall, I think a lot of people want the big screen experience. So I guess the trend of especially across the industry will be towards bigger screens, just to get the more immersive experience. A few years ago, the average screen size was maybe around a 40 to 43 inch. Now you're already looking at 55 to 65 inches being quite standard. And I think a lot of people are now looking at the 65 inch screen and going, the 75 will probably fit as well. And some people might take it even further to go to 85 or maybe even beyond that as well, until you get into like projector territory, of course. But big screens is definitely the way forward. And of course, the smart side of things is incredibly important as well. So I don't think anyone would want a non-smart television nowadays anymore, because they want it from a regular consumer point of view to do everything without hassle. And from a custom installer point of view, you want it to integrate into whatever you're building instead of having to rely on an external box that kind of sits behind it. So like Apple TV being integrated now, for example, for us going forward, it's going to be much easier. You don't need that additional box somewhere hidden behind the TV or in the wall or somewhere in your system. So trying to simplify it for both consumers and for the custom install business.
That's a very convincing argument. You can come around and tell my wife that if you like, and then she might get big said it's brilliant. I'll say Nick said it's great. Yeah, it looks great with this sofa as well. Yeah,
it can be very convincing, I assure you.
Yeah. one of the things I want to look at now is we've had a kind of lot of heavy industry debate on TV, and we're talking about tech, but let's talk about something a bit lighter. So we've been talking about TVs for the last almost half an hour. I'm going to ask you now, guys, quickly, tell me what's the best thing you've seen on TV recently? Go on, let's start with you, Tilak. Go on.
Well, basically, it's a bit awkward because I've completed Netflix like 3 times now. What haven't I seen is probably the right question. I'm mostly watching Stranger Things again, which is quite cool.
Okay, even stranger the second time round, yeah.
Yeah.
And what about you, Ken? What have you been watching on Sony?
So I've obviously much the same as Tilak. I've been watching an awful lot of streaming TV, and I think with the advent of things like Netflix, Prime TV, Disney, it's just been really good. So for me, I've been watching things like Mandalorian, which I've been waiting weekly for the new series or episodes to come up, and also something on the BBC because I think they still do good stuff. I watched Roadkill, which was Hugh Laurie, which was a sort of a political drama. And both my wife and I really enjoyed it. So there's some really good stuff on, and I think with streaming, it just gives you that much more opportunity to watch kind of what you want rather than be limited to what you want. So, and that's kind of evolving and developing. So it's been really great. Yeah.
And what about yourself, Nick? What's been your choice of TV for lockdown?
Yeah, it's very, very similar to the rest as well. So it's a mixture, of course, a little bit of live TV. I mean, watching someone drop a cake live on Bake Off is absolutely fantastic. But then going back to Netflix to watch whatever you want to watch at that point in time. I'm quite into my sci-fi, so of course things like Mandalorian on Disney has been absolutely fantastic. But also watching some older shows that maybe before I didn't really have time to watch. But there's a show on Netflix called Humans, for example, which is like artificial intelligence and robots, how they fit in kind of in daily life. It's an older show, but it's still absolutely fantastic. And of course, even though it's a bit older, it's maybe not in 4K, but it still looks fantastic on the screens.
Yeah, I'm very jealous. I've got 2 young boys. I've got twin boys. They're only 20 months, and I've had all this time to do stuff like during lockdown. But because I'm on childcare a lot of time, I've not been able to watch any telly. So I must be the only person who hasn't binged on any box sets during lockdown. I'm just, but maybe I'll make
you and Bob the Builder.
Yeah. We're doing post and special deliveries. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so let's see if we've got any questions now from our viewers and listeners. We're going to go over to our roving reporter James Drummy at AWE to see what questions the listeners have sent in. Hi, James. You're roving from around Epsom this morning, aren't you?
Yeah, still hiding in Epsom. Yeah, we've had a couple of comments in. Someone saying here that the Centre Channel works incredibly well. So that's getting an endorsement here. I'm agreeing with Ken about Roadkill. I was just watching that. It's absolutely fantastic. I've got one question here from Tom Butler of Butler Harwell. He's after CAD drawings, specifically the DWG files for all of the televisions.
Nick, do you want to cover that, or should I?
Yeah, so obviously CAD drawings is something that we've been supplying for quite a few years now. So we have them available for every single model and every single screen size. We don't have them in the full layered version, but you will have the full overview of every single dimension, both from the front, from the side, with the legs, without the legs, for wall mounting. All of those are available, and I think they're on the AWE dealer platform to download. And if something is missing from there, just get in touch and we'll be able to get that out to you.
Great. Any more questions, James? Anything?
There's one here. I think it's touching on what we were talking about on Monday about the Ring app and how that works.
So I'm not sure if Ring currently has a full-on Android TV application. I know Nest has one obviously at some point. Basically, how that will work is like you can open it up and, of course, then monitor whoever is by your front door. I suppose in the case of Ring, I mean, I have to look into it, but I would imagine someone pushes the doorbell, you get a notification on the Android TV, you can click on it, and that will make it full screen. So it should behave very, very similar to what it does on a mobile phone, for example. It shouldn't overtake your screen immediately. It should always be with a little pop-up, very similar to what you get if you plug in a USB stick, for example. It will ask you, do you want to open it or not? Because it's going to be a little bit distracting, of course. Maybe you want to ignore whoever's by the front door and keep on watching TV.
Yeah, that could be good. James, anything else from the viewers?
That's it for now.
Great. And well, thanks, guys. We're coming up towards the end of the session. I guess we've talked a lot about TV and lockdown. I just want to ask before we end today, how are you guys looking to get out of lockdown? What are you looking to do when you can't watch TV and you've got to get out of the house when you can't just shut the door when the Ring app is on? How are you going to be spending your time when you actually leave the house post lockdown? Let's ask you first, Ken.
Well, I'm really looking forward to going to the pub with my mates. Also going out.
Storm answer.
Yeah, good one.
I think that's probably fairly consistent with everybody. But also, it'd be good to have meals with friends. And for me, it's the trials and tribulations of being a Palace fan, both home and away. So I should be watching games, at Sellers Park and taking the odd occasion, go away with my friends to have a boys' weekend away. So that's something I'm really missing.
Nick, how are you going to be spending your post-lockdown?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be similar to that, but also I'm really looking forward to be able to travel again and go out and actually see things that right now it's impossible to go out and kind of fly abroad and actually look at whatever you want to go. It's just impossible right now. So really looking forward to be able to do that again. Maybe catch a little bit of sunshine now and again, which would be a nice change versus the grayness that we have right now.
And Tilak, what about yourself?
Definitely traveling. I'd like to catch a lot of sun. But yeah, just spending more time with people, going out to the pub, restaurants, just interacting and not the screen.
Great. Thanks, guys. We've come to the end of the session today on Sony TV. So before we go into standby mode, I'd like to thank my guests, Nick and Ken from Sony, Tilak from AWE. And don't forget to listen to the rest of the AWE breakfast shows from EI Live Interactive this week, or you can access the ones from earlier in the week via catch up. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. And sadly, we can't all go down the pub now, but thanks and enjoy.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the AWE Breakfast Show.